name is Sienna, and today we're going to teach you how to make a pour over in a few simple steps. So here's what you're going to need. Let me just tell my cameraman to come a little closer. So today we'll be using the Kalita Wave 185 dripper. This is a multiple person pour over set, but you could pretty much just get whatever one. The only difference with this guy as opposed to a smaller one is that you need a little bit coarser ground coffee to go through it, but don't worry about it. Next, you're gonna need your filter. That's very important. And of course a mug. You could use a decanter if you choose, but I'm cheap. And then a scale, and then lastly, your gooseneck. So the first step, what I like to do, is you have to assemble it like such. I like to wet the paper so it gets rid of the paper filter taste. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dump out the water that collects in my cup. We're gonna turn on the scale and tare it to make sure it's at 0 grams. Grams is the unit of measurement we'll be using today. Now, you pull out your handy dandy coffee. We like this ground to pour over, which is a nice like medium grind. If you're confused, you could just go to any coffee shop and tell them you need a ground for pour over. Great stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and just weigh out 20 grams right now. Next, we're gonna give this a little shake. We're gonna need it nice and flat. See how it's flat? We're grooming it a little bit. Grooming the grinds. Make it stick that back on. And we're gonna be sure to tare it, because what's about to happen next is magical. Okay. Because my scale does not have a built-in timer, I like to just go ahead and use the stopwatch feature of my iPhone. And so there's a little formula to it, but essentially we're going to be pouring 300 grams in 3 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a bloom, which essentially allows the beans to be infused with the water, so the water can like be soaked up in the beans and get that really good flavor. So we're gonna start the timer. So we're gonna do 20 grams in the 45 seconds. And we're gonna do nice little circles after the fact. It doesn't really matter at first, but typically you wanna do a nice little circle. But roughly 20 grams, and then we're gonna wait for our timer to hit 45 seconds. Okay, 45 seconds is coming up. So when it hits 45, we're gonna go ahead and do our little circles. And what I first like to kick it up to is 100 grams within that first 15 seconds. So by the time we hit 1 minute from our initial pour, we're at 100 grams. Okay. And then when it hits 115, I'm gonna crank it up a little bit more and more. So essentially, when it hits 1 minute 30 seconds, that's halfway time. So we should be halfway done with our pour. So we should have 150 grams when it's at 1 minute 30. And just kind of do little circles as necessary. You don't want to rush this. You want to take your sweet, sweet time. That's the key to success with any pour over. I'm getting texts from Basti and Cheryl Lynn. Wow. Thanks for sharing. Now back to the coffee. We're gonna keep going because we want to be done with our 300 grams by the time 3 minutes comes around. So I'm just getting us set up. So 2 minutes 30 seconds is coming. So we want to be around 250, typically around 245. I just like to finish it off with the 300 grams. Like my little circles, just nice and slow. Nice steady pour. You don't want it too thin of a stream. You don't want it too thick going down. Just nice and steady. Okay. Okay, so our 3 minutes has hit, so we don't need our timer anymore. And we don't need this guy. So I'm gonna set this back on the stove so we can use it again tomorrow. We're just gonna wait for this to drip. It might take 30 seconds. If you notice that it's taking longer for your coffee to drip through, your grind is probably too small, too thin of a grind. So it's taking more time. And if it's going through really fast, you probably have too coarse of a grind. So I like to give a little shake sometimes. Just really, that part's optional. That's an optional part. But maybe we could draw some pictures with the grinds. Maybe a flower. Oh, that looks pretty. That looks good. Ain't that right, Nina?
Yes, sir.
Here. This is my producer.
Hi, Karen. Merry Christmas.
Merry Karen, miss. Okay, so Nina, I'm gonna hand that back to you. At this point, we're gonna take the whole apparatus and we're just gonna take this part off. I'm just gonna say goodbye, friend.
Bye-bye, friend.
Goodbye. This you could delicately just rinse off and use again tomorrow. You don't even really need soap. And there you have it. Your fresh cup of brew. That's really hot. Maybe take a second there.
Ooh.